Welcome to Hartman Math. This is lesson 3.3, difference of squares. We are factoring. So the difference of squares pattern is going to look like this. It's going to be a binomial, two terms. First term is a square. Minus, that's key. That's the difference part. It has to be minus. And then the second term also a square. And it then breaks up and it looks like double bubble. Two sets of parentheses. The key here is the fronts have to be the same. So whatever we squared to get this, that goes here. The backs are the same. Whatever was squared to get this goes here and here. And the signs are one's a plus, one's a minus. It doesn't really matter which one's which. So example number 1, factor x squared minus 25. You want to be able to recognize that it might be a difference of squares. First and foremost, always, is there a GCF? In this case, no. Then we're looking for, is it a difference of squares? Because it's two terms. In our previous lesson, we learned three terms. This one, if it's two terms, our only option at this point is it a difference of squares? It's a difference. X squared is a square. 25 is a square. So it's a difference of squares. So we're going to set it up with the open parentheses. We know x and x is how you would make x squared. These have to be identical. And then what was squared to make 25? 5. So 5 and 5 multiplies to make 25. Those have to be identical. One's a plus, one's a minus. It doesn't matter which one's which. Box your answer. That one's done. Go ahead and try this one. Factor x squared minus 4. Pause here until you have it. That one's also a difference of squares. Minus. X squared is a square. It says it in its name. 4 is also a square. So it becomes x plus 2, x minus 2 in the parentheses. Example number 2. Factor 9x squared minus 64. Is there a GCF? There is not. Nothing goes into 9 and the 64. Is it a difference of squares? I think so. Minus, so it's a difference. 9 is a square, so is x squared. So is 64. So when then we go to set it up in the fronts, what was squared to get 9x squared? Well, what was squared to get 9? 3. What was squared to get x squared? X. So it's got to be 3x and 3x in the front. They have to be the same to be difference of squares. And then what was squared to get 80? To get 64? 8 and 8. There's our answer there. All right, go ahead and try this one. Factor 144x squared minus 49. Pause until you have it. This is a difference of squares. You got 12x, you got 7, so 12x plus 7, 12x minus 7. Another you try. Go ahead and factor x squared plus 16. Pause until you have it. It's very common to get some people that have x plus 4, x minus 4. That would make x squared minus 16. What about x plus 4, x plus 4? Well, if we did all the multiplication, we would get x squared plus 8x plus 16. So we're kind of stuck on this one. With two terms, the only thing we know how to do is difference of squares, but it's not a difference. Can't do it with plus. So we would say this is not factorable. It is not factorable. Example number 3, 4x squared minus 16. Number 1, always, every time, GCF. There's a 4 in common. We're going to factor out the 4. 4 times what makes 4x squared? X squared. 4 times what makes negative 16? Negative 4. So we did that. Maybe we're done. Maybe we continue. We're going to look in here. It's two terms. The only thing we know how to do is difference of squares. Is it a difference of squares? It is. It's a minus. That's a square. That's a square. So keep the 4 in front, double bubble after that. X and x. What did we square to get the 4? 2 and 2. That one's done. All right, pause here as you factor 3x squared minus 108. Resume when you're ready. All right, we're going to start by factoring out the 3. And that would have led to 3 times x squared minus 36. And then that's a difference of squares, and it becomes there. One more for you. Factor 2x squared minus 100. Pause. Resume when you're ready. All right, that one, only thing we can do is factor out the 2. So 2 times x squared minus 50. That is not a difference of squares. 50 is not a square. That's as far as we can go. We're going to box that answer. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.